Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So, I'm going to jump into the cards pretty quickly today, but the theme that I'm noticing in sessions and readings and in talking with people has to do with like how it's actually a continuation from last week because we were talking about just sealing off the energy leaks and having like a secure container for our own energy and how that, and there was a bit of a mention of how that helps us assist other people. Okay, and so that's really what I'm seeing this week, everybody in my world at least, talking about like needing to really hold space for a lot of other people. Like a lot of us are actually kind of in a bit of a groove and in kind of a good space, but there are people around us that are um, struggling or going through life changes, or like at the ranch that I'm at on the weekends, everything's just kind of falling apart. Like all the animals are gone now, and there's just really no energy, and my son's down there, and and it's like it's a necessary emptying before something can shift. But there's a lot of death energy, and it's hard to witness. Like it's hard to witness other people in your life that you care about suffering, and holding that space. And I know a lot of us are being leaned on pretty heavily. Like I have a friend who, like, people are just like a revolving door, just like walking in her house, and she's having to set boundaries. Like I know that used to be okay like 14 years ago, but now you need to call, or you need to set an appointment, or you need to and just kind of, because a lot of people are in need right now. And again, the energies are shifting. And so any area of our lives that were created in the old energy are going to be falling apart and shifting and moving away. And that can be really scary for people if they don't understand what's going on. It just feels like a loss. And for those of us that have had a lot of losses, we kind of had like a training, because my friends and I will often say, we knew this time was going to come where we were going to have to hold a lot of space for others, because we've been preparing for this. We were going through the dark nights of the soul, and we were going through the trials and the losses, and everybody else is having their vacations and their nice lives, and you're like, oh my god, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why can't I get my shit together? And it's like, okay, but now we know how to hold space for this, right? But it can be a little overwhelming. So it's kind of like that, like, okay, let's what's the word? I can't think of the words, but a powwow of like, okay, let's commune, let's like assess the situation. Wow, because it can be just kind of overwhelming, and you're caught in the current. And it's like that check-in with ourselves, where we're like, okay, how am I going to manage this? How am I going to do this? Because I have been having like a lot of like anxiety like the last couple years through the energies, where I'll have like heart palpitations or heart tightness or whatever. And I'm noticing I'm having it again in relation to like holding space for like my children, my adult children, my 17 and 21-year-old son. It's like I'll start having like stuff going on where it's like, oh, I really have to like find a way, my body speaking up, like I have to find a way to trust their journeys and to trust their path and to hold space in a way, while also just kind of accepting that radical acceptance of like whatever just like my parents had to do when I went through all my trials, whatever whatever needs to happen for them, I have to have that radical acceptance and be okay. And again, that energy of like having our container sealed off, so that we can be in the highest alignment that we can be, and we can generate and transmit that energy, and that really being the best thing that we can do for anybody else. But so a lot of like fine tunements, a lot of discussions around that coming up. And also, yeah, like even the thing like because there was a reading that I did, and it was around kind of like the divine counterpart energy, and how like wow, we're like all mirror, in a sense we're all divine counterparts, we're all mirrors to each other. Anybody in our soul family, and what we're doing within ourselves really affects them, and what they're doing can affects us. So if we allow other people's distortion to pull us into distortion, or we can really be conscious and stay in that center, knowing that, because I saw it so clearly in the cards, because what was coming up for her was just this like mirror, where what their connection, and what one did, it affected the other. And then in the last instant, it showed that almost exactly, where they had almost the exact same cards as each other, because they were mirroring, and they were mirroring that higher timeline, because she was stabilizing in it, and she was staying it. So it was just like such perfect proof. Or even like in sessions when somebody will be like, oh, I'll see, like, I know I've mentioned this before, but it's just like the quickest example that comes to me, where it's like seeing a certain like ascended master or something in their field, and I'll tell them, and they'll say, oh, I've been trying to cultivate a relationship with them. So it's like, again, that real validation of what we focus on. We bring to us, what we focus on, we bring to us. What we focus on, we transmit, and then we magnetize towards us. So whether that's between relationships, or with astral beings, spiritual beings, disembodied beings, energies, energy signatures, or people in our lives, real like proof that it works, that it happens, that it's almost immediate. It doesn't take that much, once we lock on to something, we there are effects. So I don't know if I having a little trouble with my words today. I was having that earlier. I'm just having a little trouble finding words, so maybe this isn't the best time to do a reading, but hopefully it made sense there. So, all right, I'm gonna jump in and pull an overall energy for what wants to be talked about today. I'm really feeling in relation to the support that we're offering for ourselves and others. So what do we get? Oh yeah, exactly. Oh my God, right, Raven Spirit, trust in the magic. So there it is. It's like trust in that magic for those people, those people that are struggling. It's like their sacred journey, their sacred path, and even if it gets really messy or looks really bad, it's like what they need to do to unravel the knots in their own life, or the things that are trying to unravel to come into greater alignment. Just trusting in their soul and in their strength and in their wisdom and their journey as much as we want to. And somebody said something that really spoke to me. Oh my gosh. So, where I'm at in New Mexico in the Northern Hemisphere, we're coming into our summer solstice. Okay. And I know some of you are in the Southern Hemisphere, but a lot of you are experiencing this too. Okay. So I'm in New Mexico, down where I'm at on the weekends. It's going to be 108 this week, and up here in town a little bit north is 99, I think, is our high, and it's just like hot, and all the plants are suffering, and there's just this like real survival energy, in the desert in particular. But what this woman was talking about was the solar energy, and how with this energy there's a lot of yang energy. So I feel this every year. My body suffers, and I have to like remember. This year I'm remembering to just get the heat out of my body and have a lot of salads and fruit and lemon water in the morning, and really hydrate, and all this, and just try to like work with that energy. And that's how I normally feel it, is this like excess heat, excess yang. But what she was saying is when it comes to other people in our lives that we're trying to like, I think maybe it was a little bit different for her. She had sort of a different example of it, like people, just kind of, struggling, but flailing, or having like aggressive behavior or whatever it is. But, the excess yang, and the tendency, even when we're holding space for them, to want to go in there and try to fix it. And that's what I'm really relating to, where you can kind of see the pathway, and maybe somebody's in a really negative space, and they're like, just like keep affirming, and you want to like, hey, like we create our own stories, and we create our own reality, and just trying to like offer this different perspective, and then you get yelled at because they don't want to hear it. And that whole thing of like, just allowing people their process, and we all know this in theory, right? But when you just have like this overwhelming of people, and overwhelming of solar energy, and overwhelming of yang, where you can kind of want to get in there and be a little more proactive, a little more masculine than what the energy is actually calling for right now. The balance of all this heat and all this solar energy, and plus we're in a solar gain right now, and all the flares that are coming in, and there's just like so much of that hot burning energy, the opposite of that being that real feminine energy, and the yin, and the flow, and the space holding, and the allowing, and just being quiet. I've had to train myself with my daughter in particular to just be really quiet, when not try to save her from her dark spaces. It sounds like she might even ask me, what do you think, or what do you get, or what do you, and I've just learned to just not even speak, to just hold space for those spaces, and trusting her. And trusting her journey, and trusting her wisdom, and just learning to be quiet and allow, like really leaning into the yin to balance all this yang. And maybe it's different. Maybe you're experiencing something completely different if you're heading into winter. I don't know, but it does kind of relate. So, okay, coming out with the Ace of Earth. Yeah, it's like we're all getting onto a new path. Like all of this struggle, whether it's, struggle because you're having to like have boundaries and figure out what to do, with all of the rearranging. Because for me, the rearranging is really in the people in my lives, in my life, and it does affect me. But the rearranging in my own life feels pretty gentle and smooth, and expansive, but it's like holding space for the rearrangements in those lives close to me, and not feeling resentful. Just honestly, I can feel a little resentful sometimes, where I'm like, I just want to be in my fairy realm because I've worked really hard for it, and I know how to access those energies, and I just want to I want to get back to that, but then realizing like, well, my hologram is my hologram, and that is a reflection of, the own knots I need to untangle and things I need to look at, and to realize that the other is us as well. It's a reflection of us, and it is us, and embracing all of that. That's just how I'm getting my trials right now, through the trials of other people. It's homeopathic, it's further removed, but anyway, just that we're all moving onto this new path, and that it can be kind of messy, but that's what it's for. That's what it's for. And we were talking about that last time too, like where it's all compassionate, all of the, because we got the card disruption or destruction or something like that, where it was like things falling apart. It was like a volcano, and it's like it can be upsetting, to see it in somebody else's life or to see it in our own life, but it's really for the sake of getting us on this new path. So just honoring it, right? Trusting in the magic. This is my favorite card in this deck. Like, I just love the idea of like white raven spirit. Like, what could be more magical than that? Guiding us behind. Okay. So Page of Wands. Okay, so there it is again, the new adventure, but the wands are fiery, it's a fiery energy, and there is an energy of surrender. So, again, it's just kind of going along with this. It's like it's a new path, but it's one, as you see how she's just like throwing this stick up in the air, like I'm just gonna allow things to combust. I'm gonna allow that fire to move me. And even though I feel in this very beginner's mind where I don't really know how to do this, because even if it's somebody else's trial, I still feel in the position where I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to hold space for this. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help. And it's like, well, just surrender, just walk the path and know you're walking it with spirit. The wands are spirit. It's a new spirit path. You don't know what you're doing. You feel, young and unequipped and, all that, but it's just lean into the assistance and the help behind. So again, as we get onto this new path, there is a bit of a beginner's mind type of surrender energy where it's like, just leaving behind what used to work and what used to do, because it really is a completely new energy. Yeah, there's something about in this imagery with the way this can you see that this circle, where it's kind of going around? It just kind of reminds me of like a clean swipe, where it's like everything's being swiped clean. And so often, when because we go, everything's cyclical, right? We go around the wheel, and it's like we've gone through many rebirths and, things falling apart and rebuilding, but there's something different about right now. It's like a higher octave of that energy where you can't really apply the old rules to it, and again, that like yang linear energy where, you might be trying to solve problems or problem solve or like save people or whatever it is. I know that we can get caught up in that, but it's almost like an entirely new way of supporting others as well, an entirely new way. It's like I keep thinking of the viewfinder, which is funny because I got my new contacts. I got them just yesterday, so this is the first day for those of you that listen to me regularly. There's been this whole, I keep using this analogy of my contacts, but anyway, I have this like, I have a new vision. I have an upgraded vision. I can see so much better. There's no more like weird like protein stuff built up on the lenses, and it's just like my vision is crisp and clean. So that whole analogy of like the view, those viewfinder things when you're little. I don't know how old you are, but for me, we had those little things, and you put the slides in, and it would go to the next scene. It's like this is like a whole, not just the next scene, but like a whole new like slide that comes in. And I'm 48, I'm showing my age, but where it's like you're just seeing through a whole new lens. And so if you're feeling like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to like metamorphosize myself, or I don't know how to hold space for these other people, it's like there's again just this beautiful message that's really comforting me as well, to just trust in that higher magic and allow it to reform. But something about that swirl where it's like it really is like the waving of a wand. And I don't mean to be like Pollyanna, but in these new energies, what things are possible now that weren't possible before. So to view it through the eyes of infinite potential. Whereas you might have been, so like say for example, we were completing a trial, that went on for like a decade. So like everything within that certain trial that we were doing was within the same lesson in a way. So like when you came to, I don't know if I'm going to make any sense, I'm going to try, but when you came to this part, it like kind of didn't get resolved because you had to go the whole way over here. So then you came here, and it got, you know, and then you came here and you got here, and there was all this like certain same quality to all the lessons within this. It's like we've completed a level of lessons, and that's what I'm seeing, to the degree to which things are falling apart and coming together and rearranging in my second family with my ex-husband and my daughter and my son. It's like the entire power structure has fallen and things are completely reforming. They're completely reforming in a way that's completely unfamiliar, because before it was always sort of the same quality of energy with every single trial that happened. But now it's like the screen thingy has changed, and now it's this whole other thing, and it's like we don't know how things work in here, you know, and it's like really tempting to look back and to think it's going to be the same kind of theme as before, but it's not. It's going to be a completely different one. But we have to be in that beginner's mind and just like throw that wand up in the air. It's over now. It's over. It's going to be completely different. And again, just trust and allow it to show us. What's this card? Oh, Two of Coins. Okay, so there she is. We got this last time too. She's balancing in the tree. This is also a card of choice, though. The two of Coins. I don't know what I said. The Two of Coins, the Two of Pentacles, and so it's also a card of choice. So it's like choosing. It's like there are two paths. You know, there's the old way and there's the new way, and you know, and just again, like just choosing to release, being conscious of it, releasing the old way, and knowing that it's going to be different, and knowing that if we just kind of stay steady. And again, with this card, I always have that, like, stay steady and lean into nature, lean into the truth of reality, lean into anything that has truth codes or truth transmissions, you know, that's aligned with the organic timeline. Lean into that to help you stay steady, to receive this other energy that's coming in, and allow it to show you, to lean into nature, to lean into the truth, and not the programming of the old way, which is now represented by this thing that she's releasing. You know, there's a whole revamping going on. Okay, so let me pull an oracle card here. 16 minutes. That's cool. Normally I'm still yakking away with my my own thoughts. Okay, so let's see here. What else we get? Wisdom. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So leaning it deep into our wisdom, yeah, and knowing, because you know, it's like whenever things start to fall apart, especially if it's people that we're really close to, like for me, like with my son, things falling apart is really triggering a lot of energy for me from the past. So it's kind of triggering all my stuff, and that's where it's like, yeah, I might be in the clear, you know, my life separate from them, but then around them, it's like there's still stuff purging out, right? And it's like I couldn't really heal from my past completely, because there were still we were still in that lesson, right? So there was still that same kind of energy where it's like, well, until we complete this, there's nothing that I can do about this. So I'm just going to work on, you know, this thing over here that only concerns me, that I can then build and, you know, have my own journey. But now that this bit is completed, it's like I can unify, because it's like I can't ever really truly be happy until my kids are free and happy and healed. And it's like, now it's time for that. And so it's bringing all those pieces back together, those pieces that we had to kind of compartmentalize because it wasn't time yet, and we could only do a certain thing. You could only go within the bandwidth of what that was, so you just accepted that. But now it's like it's all been blown up, you know, and everything's possible. So we're able to weave in all of the parts of our lives back into this wholeness, back into this solid path of integrity, where, you know, it's just how it was. You know, there were just certain things that were going to come later. Or, you know, you deal with this situation in this way, and you deal with this one in this way, and, you know, you had sort of fragments of compartmentalization, or I don't know if, I know not everybody's going to relate with this, but you know, when you're working on really heavy pieces of untangling a lot of darkness or a lot of trauma or whatever, it's like you just do what you can, and then at a certain point it opens up and you can do more. Okay, but wisdom for me often is about everything collapsing back into one space. It's like everything collapses back into soul, where the experience and the trauma and the lessons become wisdom. You know, they reform. You know, there's that alchemy where it comes into a different thing, you know, which is this as well. It's a different thing now. You know, the separate pieces, those pieces that we were working on, are now coming into a whole. So I keep having the urge to say, I hope I'm making sense. I might say that. I might just let myself say that. I'm not sure if I am, because I'm in kind of a different space where I'm just kind of in it, in the words, okay, trust. So yeah, there it is again, trust. So that's twice now, trust and trust. So big moves going on, and that's the thing, when you're collapsing timelines, like when you've taken on trials and you are working on really old Again, the words aren't, they're just not right. Like I'm not able to find the like right spot on words, but it's okay. That's okay. I'm just gonna accept that. But when you're working on really big pieces and throughout lifetimes, and you have these patterns that you're clearing, and you're clearing them in service, and you have trauma from your past, and you're collapsing all these things, and it starts to come to this point where they're clicking together, it can feel really scary because you don't know what to do, and you don't know what you're doing, and it's like, but again, that reminder to trust that you're not alone, and to trust that one, you have an entire soul group of people that are working on similar things together. Again, that's why I like to do these messages, so we can kind of commune, because when you're holding this type of energy, you can feel really alone, especially when your stuff is triggered, and you can go back into some of those trauma responses. But to realize that you have a whole team of soul family working on this with you and for you, because again, like what I was talking about with the divine counterparts, where what you do inside of yourself, you do for another. That's within our soul families that we know, but even those that we don't, even those that we're just connected to in the telepathic network, every time one of us collapses something or comes more into wisdom and wholeness within our timelines and our journeys and our missions here on life, it ripples out and it affects everyone, because this new path is one that we all are sharing. We're all building and creating together, and it might feel like this for us in our individual lives, where we're trying to get into that new beginner's mind space and releasing the old story, and we feel like we don't know what we're doing. The solidity, the foundation of the path is actually quite solid, because there are so many of us walking it and building it together. And again, to trust in that, and to trust in the magic, and not only in the other people, but in the guidance that we're receiving, and in the energy beyond, the energy from where we're at in the cosmos, with the photon belt, and the energy of the solar energy, and all the frequencies coming in, and like what we were talking about, these frequencies, we're merging with them, we're becoming one with them, because they're infusing in our bodies and infusing in the earth, and it's all coming back into the law of one unity consciousness, where we're supported by all of it. We're not separate, right? When you start getting into the trauma and you start seeing things falling apart, again, whether it's yours or another, it kicks up that trauma stuff. You can feel kind of alone and kind of inexperienced, but that's just a trigger, So just a reminder of what's going on, everything that's backing us, and the wisdom representing the collapsing back into soul, and that the direction that we're going is back into unity, back into oneness, and just writing it out. But yeah, obviously a comforting message wanting to come through today for those of us that need it. Okay, yep, there it is. So the Five of Wands, and the Five of Wands being conflict in your environment, conflict with the people around you, not necessarily with you and them, although it can be. You can be having conflict with people, like my daughter and I, when I'm trying to support her and she gets mad at me and starts yelling at me, and I have to like really keep my center so I don't, snap back, and just, hold space, and just all the trauma things. Somebody else was talking about how him and his brother, they just flip into trauma. They have the same trauma, the same patterns, and that can happen with me and my daughter, where it's like you have the same wounding. So if one person starts playing out the trauma bond or the trauma pattern, then it's like a freight train, a neural pathway. And so allowing that to release as well, but holding steady through those moments when the people around you can kick up old stuff, and just knowing, again, sealing off those energy leaks and staying in your own lane, so, and trusting the wider, greater process, and that we're held, and knowing that, as messy as it seems, it is the untying of the knot. And the best thing that we can do for anybody is to just hold our center and stay in our own lane, and trust in the journey and the wisdom and the process, and whatever else we might be guided to do along the way. But we're not going to hear that guidance if we're off our center, if we're getting knocked off by everything, right? So, all right, I really feel the pull from this deck, the Secret Language of Light Oracle. Secret Language of Light. Light beings. Wow. Okay, that's really interesting. So there's our galactic family. So that's really interesting, as I'm talking about, our soul family and those incarnated here that are working on similar patterns, or we're all kind of working on, a different strain of distortion, and to clear in the ethers and bring it all back together. Here's another example of our assistance, and I really do feel the galactics really strongly these days. An interesting thing happened. I wrote about this on a Facebook post. If we're friends, you might have seen it. But so I had a session last week, and every once in a while, like usually I'm seeing patterns, and they're patterns that I recognized before, and I'm getting information on them, and it's all sort of like, it's quantum, but it's grounded, you know, and I'm in on it. I'm allowed in on it. And every once in a while, it's like the energy will get like, I'll be able to see enough to see that something's going on, but I'm not allowed in. You know, I'm like, I'm just holding space. I'm just holding space. And so I just knew it to be, I translated it, or I described it as like psychic astral surgery, you know, where there were some, because he had an actual like real physical thing going on with him in his brain, and so there was like this psychic surgery going on, and it was very white, and I felt the energy signature of it to be Pleiadian. And I didn't mention that because I didn't know if he was open to galactic stuff. I just didn't feel to mention that, but I felt that, and it went on for a long time, and I just kind of held space for it, and I felt really like there was just such a you know, the white again, you know, this like white magic, like just like, oh God, we're so assisted, you know, we're so assisted. And so then the very next day I'm reading on Facebook, and somebody was talking about you know, and all kinds of things are said, and you know, I don't know, but it was a synchronicity, you know, but it was talking about how that very night there was through the Pleiadians, from the Pleiadians, astral surgery. I think they actually said astral operation, but astral surgery going on at night, and to like open and prepare for it and call it forth, and that you'd wake up really refreshed, and all that. And I did. I woke up really refreshed. There was a cricket in my room, and it woke me up, and I let it out, and or I just opened the door and it went out, I guess. It's really weird how that happens down in the desert house. There's just like here in Silver, where I'm at in town, when I hear the crickets, I'm like, oh, it's so like romantic or something. I don't know, charming. But down in Columbus in the desert house is like, oh, because they'll be like right under your bed and like keeping you up all night. It's just completely different energy. But I find if I just like open the door and just like visualize them going out, like somehow they will. It's really crazy. I don't always have that kind of success with bugs, like the ants. I try to communicate with them, and I'll like feed them outside and stuff, like just, but don't come in my kitchen, tell your little brothers don't come in my kitchen, and it doesn't work. But for some reason with the crickets it's good. Anyway, I'm tangenting, but my what I'm actually trying to say is that I felt that like peace and release and reset. And so I was talking about in the last one, I haven't really been dreaming that much lately. My sleep has just been kind of like void. I don't know, I used to dream a whole lot, or I'd have these like really like heightened experiences and come back and feel like I like went somewhere, or like I came back with information. And so ever since that night, that's been happening again, where I sleep really, really deeply, and I wake up and I feel like I don't always remember what it is, but I feel like I like got something, or like something happened for me. It's like that, again, that assistance. Like I don't feel like it was just that night. I feel like we absolutely are being assisted, and having things like, so this was coming up last time too, like patterns that we're releasing, like this, you know, patterns that we're releasing. There's so much support energetically and obviously galactically, and you know, through however you want to think of it, but through the higher aspects of ourselves or whatever. But we're just at this point where there's a lot of support right now, right? So that's a good reminder. I love that came up, because that extends to the people in our lives too. You know, it extends to the people in our lives that it might be a little bit messier for them. They might not have the same level of clarity or awareness that you have, but knowing that assistance is here for everybody. And that's what that, and I loved the synchronicity of that, like all of humanity is receiving this astral surgery from the Pleiadians, like a day after I saw it specifically for that one person. It's like we're all receiving this support right now, and so we can trust our journeys, and we can trust the journeys of other people. And even when they get really messy, and like for me in my situation, you know, I'm dealing with a sort of intensely controlling person that I've personally learned how to walk that landmine. I don't have any issues. I haven't for years, but I do know the core level of danger in a sense with this person. So with things starting to fall apart, you know, and you know, my son, like right in the hub of it, you know, it's like it's real subconscious, but there's some anxiety of like, ooh, you know, again, you know, it was always like this, right, within this context of the situation. So you might be relating to that, where some of the things that are falling apart can have this sort of like, you know, your body or your memory or your fascia or your cells can be setting off these danger signals of like, oh, this can only go bad or worse, or, you know, and to just know that again, we are being like deeply assisted. I love that came up twice through our soul family and the galactics. Obviously, that's what's really the message that's wanting to come through right now. And to trust in that, to trust in the wisdom, where it's like, it's okay for even the core things that you've kind of like danced around. this message might just be for me, but I'm sure there are. So I really feel it's like specifically just for me, is I'm almost like kind of embarrassed. It's like so specific, but I know that also there are collectives of us, and that there will be at least one other person that this deeply speaks to, and that's enough. So I'll record it for you if that's you. But yeah, even if it's something really gnarly and dangerous that you've had to literally walk the landmines for 20 years in my case, and you've had to decompartmentalize and be patient and just wait and wait to have like the detonator button go off and everything blows up and you're like, oh shit, but it's like, you didn't do it. You didn't go in there with a bomb like you used to in the past and got burnt to the crisp for doing it. It's like life did this, God did this, divine timing did this, and you can trust it and you can calm yourself, and I've been doing a lot to support my my adrenals, and just because a lot, as this kind of stuff has been coming off, the lid's been coming off, and it's really a deep healing, but it's scary when there are like really intense people involved. I've just been having some some adrenal stuff going on, like with my daughter, and now it's moving over into my son, and so anyway, just like doing ashwagandha in the morning and rhodiola. Oh, I forgot to do that this morning. I completely forgot. Anyway, yeah, and just doing things to detox and doing things to support the adrenals, and even like I make this wonderful CBD salve, and so I usually just like give it or sell it to people, but I've been or use it if I have like real tension, but I've been using it just to like let myself know, like we can be calm through all this, we can be calm through all this, and we can trust, and we can allow the lid to come the whole way off, because we always knew it would at some point, and it seems like that time is now, because in these energies, again, anything that's not, I hate to sound cliche, but anything that's, again, my words are, I'm just not feeling very verbally creative right now, but anything that's not of love is just not going to hold. It's just going to start to fall apart, and just trusting in the grace. And I have noticed this in that situation, that we've been in this new thing for a little while now, and every time I would sort of expect it to go like this, it doesn't. It's in this new energy, and it's all unfolding. But again, there can be some really deep traumas getting kicked up for some people, obviously myself included. So as we're moving forward, things are starting to roll, and things are flushing out, and things are coming online, and everything's starting to flow, but that includes things falling away as well. And again, as it gets really close to that center, you just got to take that leap of faith. And again, we got trust twice. Take that leap of faith and know that it's going to be okay. It's held, it's witnessed, it's held, it's supported. Oh, I want to weep. Thank you. All right, 8. Oh, okay. 8 of Cups and the Chariot. So yeah, this is a card of just like moving on, walking away. Again, like what I've been talking about. It's just like walking away from that old energy. It's all dissolving. It's going away. It might be a little intense, but let that intense kind of like fear energy, or energy of the past, of being persecuted or losses or grief or whatever it was you had to deal with on that old timeline. It's like we're moving forward now. And this is a major arcana. So, it's like you have the light and the dark, and you have them together, and in the middle, what's in the middle is the lotus, from all that mud and blood, that's the heart that's driving you forward. It's like you have that integration. And so, before, maybe when you only had light and you needed to experience the dark so you could understand it, yeah, it was going to be in a certain bandwidth where you had to really get your initiation into the dark, and you had to be broken. The other thing that's going on for me right now, and I know a lot of us, is like it's summer, right, in the northern hemisphere, and so it's really fucking hot, and all of the plants are suffering, especially in the desert here. Like there's just like the acacia trees. The best part about June down near the border is the acacia trees, and so there's just this wonderful heavenly perfumey scent that drifts around, and they're not blooming because we didn't get any water, we didn't get any rain through the spring, so it's just barren, and like the energetic feeling, the energetic atmosphere is one of survival, and just like wait and be still and do nothing. And like that can be a trauma response, because you're like, I'm so done. This is the old energy of survival and of like, just like waiting for the right timing, and so it's really weird, because the energy around, some of us, especially in the desert here, is that like kind of old energy that we're walking away from. It's all around, your plants in your garden, the plants in the forest, the plants, it's just everything is like drying up, and just trying to survive, but that survival energy. is what we're moving out of. So I think it's really, really interesting that for some of us that can be a real trigger, but it's like we are moving, we are moving forward. And as that stuff arises, we're clearing it out. So of course, the clearing out, and you have to feel it to clear it. But yeah, like really getting towards the center. And again, what's at the center, what's at the center is that heart, that lotus, that which has birthed, from these trials. And again, what I was saying, I don't think I completed that thought, where it's like you had to get that initiation, with the darkness. But once you got that, and you found your center, and you were able to weave together the light and the dark, and to hold things in higher consciousness, and to hold that faith. And we're really being tested and asked to do that over and over and over again. But as you get to the center of the core of what you came here to unravel, whatever those patterns are, they might have been spread out throughout different people throughout your lives, but it's a core theme of what you're working on. And as we get to unraveling that and collapsing it all back into that wisdom, all back into that soul level of unification and unity consciousness, and connection with all, it is that, it is being right at the center, the center. But it's where you get your gem, in a way, where you get to use everything that you've learned, and you get to walk it forward, and you get to see that you can walk forward because you have both legs, you have both sides integrated. So that's a beautiful, encouraging message. I'm gonna do a goddess card, and then we'll see if it wants to wrap up. Coming up on 40 minutes here. So nurture, yeah, exactly. And there's that mothering energy. There's that yin energy that just nurturing ourselves and nurturing those around us, and just knowing that what we're doing right now, again, it's I don't want to say the final piece, but that's kind of the word that's coming, in a sense. It's like we're getting I'm getting chills. We're getting down to the core. I know I keep saying that again. We're getting down to the core, to the very heart of the matter, and it's intense, and it can kick up latent anxiety. It can kick up latent trauma. It's like, this is really where you go the whole way through. You really go the whole way through, and just understanding that. And again, just nurturing ourselves, like I was saying, with the adaptogens and the adrenal support, and just kind of like knowing like this is intense. And even like with the desert analogy and the plants, where it's like, okay, you're going to get through this because you know how to store that water. You've been doing that, all this time within that trial. You know how to do that. Just utilize that skill that you learned, and utilize it in communion with the light, where now to reach for the light. You're not just fully in the dark, just bearing through and building whatever skills through those trials. It's like, no, you've also awakened a true relationship to the light. So you continue to use that, and to walk yourself the whole way through, and nurture yourself through it, knowing that that's the task of hand, and nurturing others as well. Nurture yourself first, so that you're not spun out into, so that we're not spun out into trauma or reaction. Like really putting that self-nurturing first, so that we can be there for others, and that we can hold space in that feminine, quiet yin way. We're not trying to solve anything for anybody. We're just holding space and acting on the guidance that comes through, trusting that it will, trusting that we're absolutely supported and guided, and leaning into that, and expecting it. So I'm going to pull one last card here. I think I actually used every deck except for one after this one, and it's my least favorite deck. Okay, so that fell the whole way over there. I think it's Courage. Let's see. Yep. It's Courage, and it's red, and it's hot, and it's fiery. And if you're in a climate like I am, or even if you're not, or you're like in 90% humidity in North Carolina or wherever you are, because that sucks too. I know that as well. It's like it's just hot, right? And that is pretty symbolic for and not if you're in Australia, sorry, but still, the heat, the inner heat of getting to the core of some of these things, where we're going the whole way through. And that is very interesting, having that message of courage. It's really kind of telling me I'm not alone in this. Well, we're never alone. It's all collective energies, especially if we signed up to do things in collaboration with others. You can pretty much know what's going on with you. Somebody's relating on some level, because we journey in waves and pods, just like a bunch of dolphins down here. Oh, I wonder if my kitty's out of water. Oh no, she's not. She just she drinks funny. Anyway, yeah, and just again that nurturance, and knowing that this is a big move. This is a big move, a big center point that we're going through right now. But just keeping that higher perspective, and again knowing that we're supported, and knowing that we're doing this together, and knowing that we are getting into the center. So anyway, I hope that was helpful to some of you. It was very helpful to me. So thank you for listening to me at least talk myself through a challenging time. Thank you for witnessing me, and much love to you all, and blessings on this passage if you are relating and knowing that we're doing this and we're doing it together, and we're going to collapse, and we're going to collapse back into wisdom. The collapsing is actually collapsing back into wholeness and releasing of all the stories and releasing of the fragments and walking back home. But we kind of just have to jump. We kind of just have to jump through it, jump through that portal courageously, and trusting that we're going to make it out on the other side. So yeah, I kind of just feel like I want to keep pulling, but I'm gonna go because it's getting long. But we'll see where we're at. Next week feels like a crucial week, and I don't know why. I don't know. Today's the 11th. I haven't been following the astrology. I don't know if there's some big conjunction or square or something going on right now. I'll have to look. Usually I'll just do one of these and then I'll find stuff later, or I'll find other people talking about the same thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, we're all feeling similar things, or there's a reason for this. And so anyway, jumping off the cliff in that way as well. Here's an 11 card. That's 11 as well. Can you see that? The portal, when I was talking about the portal, jumping through the portal. So all right, I'm gonna go now. Thank you. Much love to you. Bye-bye.